All right, plenty to get across now. Joining me is senior reporter Carolyn Marcus and senior fellow at Menzies Research Centre, columnist for the Australian Indicator. Well, welcome to you both. All eyes were watching the TV at 2:15 this afternoon. The shadow cabinet finally unveiled. I must say before that, of course, we had confirmation mid-morning that the coalition agreement had been struck. We had some of the changes there mentioned by Ruben, Caroline, but what else did you pick up?
Well, look, it was as interesting who was promoted to a role in cabinet as who didn't make the cut and who got demoted. So, I mean, a few interesting names. Obviously, Ted O'Brien is the shadow treasurer, and he's, of course, the deputy leader of the party now under Sussan Ley. Michaela Cash is foreign affairs, and James Patterson finance. Andrew Hastie has home affairs, and that's, of course, despite all the speculation that he will one day run for the position of as Liberal leader and then as opposition leader, Prime Minister. I thought Julian Leeser as Shadow Attorney General, that was interesting as well. He's been a strong performer, especially on foreign affairs and legal issues, but he did step down from the front bench over his opposition to the no vote, supporting the no vote in the referendum. But when I say what's interesting is who didn't make the cut or who was demoted, despite all this talk about women, not being enough women in the party, that the Liberal Party has a women problem, look at the people who have been dropped. There's Jane Hume, who was dropped from finance. James Patterson got that portfolio, and James is also very capable, but Jane Hume is a very strong performer as well. Sarah Henderson dropped from education. Claire Chandler. I mean, these are all high-profile senior women within the party who are no longer on the front bench in opposition. So I think that's interesting. Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price also stripped of her Indigenous Australia portfolio. Instead, she's going to be a shadow spokeswoman for defence industry. So that's kind of an interesting choice too, when you think her strength should surely be in Indigenous issues.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see her in a more mainstream role. I think she's done well in Indigenous affairs. But, you know, in opposition, and I'll make this point for people at home, in opposition, portfolios like defence and foreign affairs are actually not frontline portfolios. They're not the ones that will win you government. And so I see that, you know, Angus Taylor being in defence, Jacinta being in defence, Michaela Cash even, they've sort of been sidelined. They sound important, but they're not important in opposition. And yet there's been all of these moves with factional allies of Sussan Ley. And Nick, I know when you were at Menzies, you did a big report about women and promoting women and developing a pipeline. How bizarre it is that the first female leader is the one that's dropped all these women, because it's never about gender. Let's be honest, it's actually about factions.
Well, it should be about talent, Peter, really. Talent number 1, 2 and 3.
I agree.
I don't... Gender is... We should not pick according to gender, and Sussan Ley clearly hasn't. But look, I just cannot fathom how you can put together a team, you know, your strongest team from that small group of MPs and senators that are left, and not include Jane Hume, not include Claire Chandler, not include Sarah Henderson. Some of these other people must be very good. Look, I'm all for giving chances and opportunities to new people. That's very important, particularly after an election. But right now, the Liberal Party just has to put the very strongest team it has up against Labor, and needs to focus 100% from day one on attacking Labor, not continuing this horrible factional warfare that's been going on within the party that's really just going to destroy it if it's not careful. I would say, look, Dan Tehan is a great pick for energy, very solid choice, and I'm sure that Dan will steady the ship there and will hold on to the gains that we made in the last Parliament when Peter Dutton broke the nuclear taboo, and take that on further, because that's a very important portfolio, obviously, now.
Nick, too, I have to make a point about the coalition agreement. It hasn't ended the rumblings. There's still rumblings about Littleproud's leadership. Have a listen to this.
How can you support a bloke that misleads the party room? I'm calling him out. I can't do it. It is messy, and this is all based on pure lack of communication and the chosen ones that think that they're able to dictate to everybody.
We didn't need to, I felt, break away from the Liberal Party. It looked messy, and from the public's point of view, they must have just been scratching their heads.
I might add the 4 things he wanted were the 4 things he got. Do you think this will blow over or will it fester?
I think it's going to hang around and fester, Peter, because as I wrote on Monday in The Australian, what we're seeing here, that the argument between the Liberal Party and the National Party is really just a proxy war for the battle for the soul of the party itself. You know, particularly the moderate faction, the so-called moderate faction in the Liberal Party, they'd really like to see the Nationals, you know, see the back of them. They think that they're tainted by their association with very strong and good politicians like Matt Canavan. And they want that if they could, they get rid of them. But I think they realise pretty quick that without the National Party, there is no hope of ever winning an election ever again. So they've had to bite that bullet. But this is going to fester. And as I say, I mean, look, we just have to get down to fighting the government right now with all the resources we've got, and we've got to put this internal argument behind us.
Yeah, and I make the point, and you made it very well there. I mean, in my editorial, that you've got to have your best team on the field, your most intellectual team. No leader should be spooked by anyone that's smarter than her or more experienced than her or anything like that. That's what you want. It's the only chance you've got to beat Labor. Let's go to the announcements today from the AEC. The Victorian Federal Senate results are there. Labor's picked up the final spot. That's given them 3 senators. As it stands, Tom Connell says that Labor's projected to win some 30 seats, but at a minimum of 28, they'll still need the Greens. The Greens there will help them pass legislation. There's still a count going on in Bradfield, of course, and in Goldstein. It's a partial recount. Bradfield's interesting, of course, because the woman there, Giselle Kaptarian, if she wins, and she's never been an MP, she is parachuted straight onto the front bench. She's a key moderate out of New South Wales there for Sussan Ley.